see as your legacy, and I'll hint.
Well,
I'm thinking
I
of
should
where we are.
preface this by saying I think it was Jack Barron who had the idea to have a Envision program that would be funded by the members, and if you can envision it, see if you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So my first project was the awning. I remember the awning from the Florida days, and it was very pleasant. So I initiated a program to raise funding for an awning, had it designed by an awning company, raised the funds for it, paid for it, and it was built without cost to the club.
And we're all very grateful for that. I use it all.
Well, I guess it's been useful ever since. But some people still call it Herman's awning. And the next project I got involved in was the bridge.
Describe the bridge then. What did it look like?
The bridge, well, John Boyle, for a couple of winter projects, had organized a cleanup committee. So the bridge was kind of varnished, but it was a mess, as I said, because of lack of heating and air conditioning. The ceiling was falling down, and every year they'd have to redo the varnish here and there. So my first project was to get heating and air conditioning in. It had to be limited, and that was kind of unfortunate. So we designed and I paid for the system as you see it, which is this vent, kind of a brow here in the room. And the equipment was installed back of that wall, and it's a self-contained system just for the bridge. At that point, the House Committee took a look at what was happening and started redoing all kinds of trim and window sills and
the flooring.
Marilyn and Don Lean, I think is the last name.
Mm-hmm.
And they offered, they have a flooring company. They said, if you buy the wood, we'll install a wooden floor. Well, it is very untraditional to have a wooden floor on a working bridge.
It's like a living room. It's beautiful.
But they put it in, and it was a kind of, there's an arch to this floor in here. All the floors, as a matter of fact, are arched for support. Mm-hmm. And they did a beautiful job of installing this flooring. The kids love it. Well, this is a very unique ship. Mm-hmm. When it's built as an icebreaker, and at one time it was thought that it was built under security provisions to keep it from technology from falling into the hands of the Russians who were expanding into the Arctic. It's a diesel electric. Mm-hmm. And that is because these electric motors have a lot of torque at low RPM, whereas internal combustion engines, you have to go through gear shifts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're just finding that out for automobiles now. But
this was state of the art.
This was state of the art, yes, indeed. This was actually part of a program that Ed Goebel was Commodore. Had in mind to refurbish the club ship to make it a more attractive venue as a club. He had a number of things that went on, had to do with membership, associate categories, incentives to join. You're an example of that. And it was part of a program which I subscribed to. The things that we did here were largely cosmetic. The next thing was the library program. Library was the old captain's sitting room, And so I funded the material to rebuild that room with the bookcases and the carpeting and the reupholstery and so forth. Dave Benson did all the work in there. He's a master.
Do you remember when it was that this renovation took place? When it was decided to do the bridge and then the library? Do you remember about when that was?
I think that there's a plaque.
Oh, it's on the plaque?
Yeah, I can't.
What brought about the elevator? Not all of our members know when they get on board the ship that the ship did not go to Prince Edward Island with an elevator on board. That was an add-on years
That
later.
was a continuing concern over the years. So I went to Commodore Cosby, and I offered him a bunch of money up front to be paid over 2 years to start the project. And Bob Sargent, Cindy Sargent's husband, said, "I'll match that." So we had between us probably 2/3 of what we thought was the necessary funding for the elevator. I remember in the old days before the elevator, I remember wedding receptions where an old grandmother had to be carried up by her stalwart grandchildren to attend a wedding reception here at the club, and it hurt me.
It just wasn't right.
It wasn't right.
Yeah.
So we did it, and we have it, and it's here.
Well, we're glad it's here, and we're glad it's available for members to get to the other floors when they just can't make the walk up the stairs.
It now turns out I am one of them.
Yeah.
I can go up this far. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it helps.
There have been a number of projects here not involving me, and I don't want to take credit for everything. I mean, the tent structure out in the back is a real plus. The projects that had to do with mooring the ship, the electrical system that was redone, Bill Bartz pretty much handled that himself. There are a number of people that you have to give a lot of credit for.
Sure.
For the progress that we've made over the last really 50 years.
So I heard a rumor, and you can clear it up. The rumor was that you were looking for a burger when you ordered the Columbia Burger, but the Columbia Burger was more than you wanted, and you asked for a smaller burger, which may or may not have been what the menu calls the Kitty Burger, but the burger became known, from what I heard, as the Herman Burger. Had you heard that before?
No.
Oh, okay. Did you preferred a smaller burger, or?
Well, the Columbia Burger is a magnificent structure.
Yeah.
It's much more than I can eat.
It's
I don't disparage the Columbia Burger, but
yeah.
so I've been asking for the Kitty Burger. It seems to work.
I think you can call it the Herman Burger. I think they know what it is. Another project that you spent a lot of time on, you were the first and perhaps only club historian. Can you tell me about that?
Well, yeah, it was not, the job was not historian, but librarian.
Librarian, okay.
And it at least was in the bylaws as a board level position appointed by the Commodore. And as such, I was in charge of the archives and as well as the artifacts. One of the trophies, for example, the Babson Cup is our only international trophy. We race against Toronto Queen City Yacht Club and Tom Laren's over the years. I was part of that crew up in Toronto. And the fleets both died out in Toronto and here, and we're left with the cup, the Babson Cup. I wrote a number of articles for the Pinnacle over the years. There's a journal, handwritten journal. Somebody apparently started to try to write the history of the Yacht Club that had some really interesting stories in it.
Really? Would that be in the archive room today?
I hope so. I haven't found. I've been in there for years. I guess one of the things I'm also proud of was starting the beer can regatta. Initially, we proposed. There was a thing going around the country. Beer can is not the term, but we originated with a race intended for the common man who owned a sailboat, rather than hotshot racers. And so we proposed, there was a one design course out there, and we proposed using that as the basis for a beer can race, starting after the one design group had started, going to a weather mark. There were 8 marks out there, and then taking off and going out around the crib and back to finish. The board turned that down because I think they wanted to preserve the one design course for one design racing. Well, about a year or two later, Burnham Park came to the board, offering them pay some money to use that facility for just exactly what I had in mind. So I was the first Columbia beer can captain, and we set up the course, some of the rules. I don't know what's still in existence, but for example, no protests, because we didn't want to have a protest committee, we didn't want to have judges, we didn't want to have...
Just a good day out on the water.
Yeah, but that required some dictatorial actions on my part. I had to throw one fellow out. He'd never figured out how not to barge at the start. We called him Barging Bill. It was dangerous. He says, "Get out of my way." And so we threw him out of the beer can.
Were you a beer can racer then as well?
I did some beer can racing, yeah. It's fun.
It is. So let's go briefly back to that decision you made 54 and a half years ago. Has your decision to join Columbia Yacht Club, have you, has that, what you wished for then, has it come about? Does it still deliver to you what you were looking for?
Well, I'm really pleased with that decision. It was life-changing for me, in fact. It led to years of an avocation that I grew to love. It gave me a community that I've enjoyed, many of my best friends over the years, a life of some adventure. It led to my first wife, who was a member here for a time. That's my late wife, but it also led to my present wife, Heather, both of which supported the large financial investments I was making in the club. No, I have no regrets. I'd like to come back in 50 years and see what the world is like. I mean,
I have no doubt you'll be welcome back. your HL card will still be good. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you want our membership to know about today?
I would encourage them to get involved in the club. I think there's nothing like the involvement with whatever talents there are. There are some very talented people with construction activities that I've seen over the years and recently. There are people who have organizational skills, communication skills. There are ways to get involved here, and I encourage that as much as I can.
There's a big payoff.
There is.
On behalf of the Communications Committee and on behalf of the Columbia Yacht Club membership, I wish to thank you for your time this afternoon. This has been a delight. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.